listening to Community Forum on KCCC 930 AM, sponsored by Eddy County, honoring God, country, and family, thriving with industry since 1889.
Thank you for listening to Community Forum. My name is Johnny Chandler, the owner of KCCC 930 AM, the host of Community Forum. With me today is Kyle Marksteiner. Carl Marksteiner, you've been on the show multiple times in a few years, haven't you?
I have, yes, sir.
Yeah, less than some.
Yep, almost certainly.
I would say
but I've been on in multiple capacities. I was on in different owners, different buildings, different. So I've seen the history of this radio station.
You were in 3-year history, right? So you were a city employee on it, right? Now you're a United Way employee. Are you the director, the CEO? What's your title?
I'm the director of the United Way.
Okay, the director of the United Way of Eddy County, which you've been doing great stuff on. You've had you on before that. You're everywhere now in the community, which is wonderful. But you are wearing 2 hats in this interview today.
I am wearing 2 hats in this interview.
All right, so director of United Way to Eddy County is 1 hat. I'm not lessening that. We've just talked to you about that before.
Sure.
So let's go ahead and get into the other hat that you're wearing.
So the other hat that I'm wearing is I'm on the board and the committee for the Martin Luther King Scholarship Committee. It was formed many, many years ago by Julia Williams and her husband, Captain James Williams, Bernita Smith Payne, and other members of the community, really wanting to honor Dr. King's dream through helping people academically. And so for decades now, they've had a scholarship committee that awards, an annual scholarship to multiple students. Could be any student. They are very sincere, and they're, everybody's included. But to raise funds for that scholarship, they've had an annual event in January. And that's the banquet that's coming up, their annual banquet. But then there's also a church service. There's also a march to celebrate Dr. King's dream. And it's a great example of the community coming together. Bob Scholl, who a long time ago was a host of this station, was on it. And so I'm trying to help, Mr. Scholl passed away, and so I'm trying to help Miss Julia Williams and Bernita Smith Payne, the chair, Dr. Joy James Foster, and all these folks with keeping this great legacy going.
Now, how many years in Carlsbad have we been doing this celebration? Do you recall? Because it's been around a while.
Yeah, I think about 30. I'm not entirely sure. It's I've been here 25 years now, and it's been going strong since I've been here. And I'd say it's probably higher than that, probably closer to 40. It's just, it's not a national affiliated organization, this local MLK Scholarship Committee. They are affiliated through the foundation in terms of finances.
The Carlsbad Community Foundation.
Carlsbad Community Foundation.
Right.
And that, they're raising money to help kids, but then they're also trying to do positive community events throughout the year.
Yeah. So I'm kind of interested just on the history of that. They're not associated with the national MLK organization. New Mexico probably didn't have all that big of a civil rights role, or Carlsbad for sure. Potentially. I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Oh, how much time do you have?
Well, we just got started, so I've got a little bit of time. So yeah, I think you know where I'm getting at, and now I can say it respectfully, right? Where is the idea of like a real prominent civil rights history from Carlsbad, and where it's kind of born out of?
You're going to need hours. So Carlsbad desegregated its schools and its athletic program way before any communities nearby.
Okay.
And so what that meant is growing up is that all the kids who were growing up in Carlsbad could all attend classes together. They could all play on the football team together. Where that became extremely significant, and there was a young man named John Wooten growing up in Carlsbad. If John Wooten had grown up in any nearby communities, he would have not had a chance to play on the
He's in the Hall of Fame, is he not?
He's absolutely in the Hall of Fame. John Wooten had a wonderful career at this high school. John Wooten went on to play college. John Wooten went on to play for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
After his professional career on the field ended, John Wooten became involved, and he was a scout. He worked for the NFL administration, things like that. John Wooten was also then one of founding members of what's called the Fritz Pollard Alliance, which was when you interview coaches, you have to show that you're being fair and diverse in your interviewing coaches.
Right.
Wooten advocated for that. So because he grew up in Carlsbad, Mr. Wooten had a chance to play. And because of that, he went on to become a professional football player. He then devoted the second half of his career towards returning that favor at a national level. So I would argue that Carlsbad has a remarkable story in the process of civil rights.
Well, I appreciate you calling out my ignorance on that. We're going to call it ignorance because I literally asked the question forgetting that schools were segregated so many years ago.
No, and it's a beautiful story, and it's one, anytime you want to talk more about that, but Carlsbad has a wonderful story. And when I moved here back in 1998, Julia Williams and several of her friends, I would go to the library or the museum, and I would see them there, researching history, researching African American history, and learning more about it. And so this community this community's manifestation of the celebration of Dr. King's dream, I'm certainly no expert, but I would contend is as close to authentic as you can get. Because when you look at our committee, it's people from all walks of life together, pursuing that dream and advocating it for other people. And so the sincerity of that approach of Carlsbad's community and how we've advocated for freedom and equality and civil rights, it's wonderful.
Right. That is a really, really great story. It speaks a lot, and it kind of just like it makes me think of the Disney movie Remember the Titans.
Right.
So we're a bit of a Remember the Titans community back in the day.
No,
kind of like leading the charge.
Oh, and I somebody at one point, well, John Wooden, he was just a football player. What do we care? I'm like, no, hold, stop. You cannot tell me that athletics and things like that don't tie in with other issues in our society and other ways to improve and give people opportunity.
Oh, so those moments in the Olympics, where the raising the fist in the air over the podium while accepting the gold medal, those are some of the strongest civil rights memories and moments that we have.
Man, you put a quarter in me. So, gentleman in Carlsbad named Mickey Miller, during the raising the fist thing, he was one of the backup runners. So if the runners who were out there, and I wish I could remember their names right now, who participated in it, had decided they refused to compete in the Olympics,
right,
he would have been called up to compete in the Olympics. And so another little town in southeast New Mexico got a lot of big ties.
I mean, this place shows out all the time. Like even Sonny Throckmorton, this Carlsbad shows out consistently, especially historically. So I hope the future's as bright as our past was.
And that's what this is about, because the founders of this and Dr. Joy James Foster has certainly done a great job continuing that legacy. This is about education. This is about equality. This is something this church service on the Sunday. Folks from every place of worship around Carlsbad, and then some people who don't attend churches, all come together and sing songs representing Dr. King's dream, and it's beautiful. It's a wonderful event.
Okay, so the Martin Luther King Jr. Scholarship Committee, we're doing a Celebration 2025 is what we're calling it.
We're calling it Celebration 2025. There's traditionally 3 events.
Okay, so we're going June 17th to June 20th.
June 17th to June 20th. June 17th is a Friday.
Got it.
That's the annual kind of fundraising banquet. So that money that we're giving to kids every year, the ticket sales, some of it's going to food for that event, obviously, and then some of it's going to scholarship. We had a sponsor this year that really helped with that. Their name is Burnright.
All right.
Burnright Industries. So they made a contribution that's possible. Carlsbad Chamber of Commerce has been extremely helpful. The Mayor Lopez in the city of Carlsbad. Everybody's really come together to make that event. PJ&B's has given us a huge discount on the wonderful meal that's served that night.
Well, they have pretty good food too. Their catering is real. I mean, their food's great, but when it comes to sometimes when it comes to catering, I got to say the college here at SNMC, and everybody we're associated with Southeast New Mexico College. We record here. We're sitting in their library right now. They catered our annual employee luncheon. Right. They do almost every year, and they do a phenomenal job.
Yeah. No, same thing. And wearing my other hat, United Way director, we went out and handed out hot chocolate at an event. And Caitlin Morales said, "Come by, I'll give you some hot chocolate." So they did, and they had poured it. But this banquet, we've got a guest speaker this year. And every year we try to bring in a different person. Our guest speaker this year, his name is David Gibson, and he's the Deputy Labs Director and Chief Operating Officer with Sandia National Laboratory.
Oh, great. So is he based in Albuquerque?
He's based in Albuquerque.
Okay, because I know Sandia National Labs has an office here, but he's probably been here quite a few times.
No, and here's another cool. I mean, you got a town. Oh, let's write off Carlsbad. Carlsbad has 2 national lab offices in it, thanks to WIP, Los Alamos and Sandia. There's not a lot of towns our size that have that academic resource. We've liked to joke in the past. Gosh, I'm going off on a lot of tangents today.
It's okay.
It's a good tangent, right? We've liked to joke in the past. Where else your kid's 5th grade science fair is being judged, and you've got doctors from Sandia and Los Alamos and Department of Energy.
Some of the most highly educated nuclear physicists that you could have.
And you've got a national park, so you've got biologists from the caverns coming out. I mean, how cool is that? I mean, you cannot tell me that this town just has a remarkable story, and that's part of it. So this gentleman from Sandia, he's coming down. He's going to be our guest speaker. And then, and Johnny, there's another element on that I really want to talk about. Current Mayor Rick Lopez is going to be the master of ceremonies.
Right.
But there is going to be a moment of silence attributing, my former boss, Dale Janway.
Sure. Yeah.
Mayor Janway was, as mayor, very supportive of this project and this committee, but also previously served on the committee. So, so it's definitely appropriate. He was honored last year as I think he got a special achievement award or something like that last year. So.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. So, if I want to go to the MLK banquet on Friday night, starts at 6 p.m., where's it going to be at?
It's going to be at the Carousel House. Carousel.
Great. Okay.
I would suggest if you're listening to this that you go online to the foundation's webpage and you buy a ticket.
Okay, because you can still buy tickets.
You can still buy tickets, but it fills up.
Okay.
As we all know, that Carousel House fills up quickly.
Carlsbadfoundation.org is the website that you want to go to if you're interested in purchasing tickets for that. Now, dinner
good
is
upside down reading.
Yeah, I'm good at that too. So dinner served is $35 a person or $280 for a table of 8. I guess that's pretty reasonable.
It is. Well, and again, about half of that's going to the food and the other half is being that's
going
to the foundation.
Yeah, that's really good. Plus, the food's going to be good because we've done that before. David Gibson is the keynote speaker that evening. Now, what else would I need to pay for to be involved for the rest of the weekend?
Okay, sure. Great question. So that evening, there's going to be a silent auction. There's going to be some cool stuff at that. The performers at that church service I talked to you about are going to come out, could do a couple songs. There's going to be some students doing a skit. We're going to recognize some kids who won an essay contest. So that evening, if you want to spend some money, participate in the silent auction. The next day, or not the next day, the Sunday on January 19th, there's a worship service at New Song Christian Fellowship. That's off of Pate Street, and then you get the full performance by that worship choir.
Okay, right.
If you wish to contribute on that, the collection plate will be passed. And the funds will again be invested. A fraction of that goes to assist with the performance, and then the rest of it is deposited in the same account to help with future events and with scholarships and things like that.
Right. Okay.
And then on Monday, this is an event that honestly we don't want any money. This is called the Freedom March.
Right.
On Monday at about 10:30, we assemble at the courthouse lawn. We'll have some breakfast burritos. C&B Bank, I believe, is providing that. And then we'll walk. We'll walk from there to Martin Luther King Park.
Yeah.
We'll have a short ceremony. I say short because traditionally this January 20th is about as cold as it gets in Carlsbad.
Yeah.
It's windy. It's cold. We have had some brutal MLK ceremonies. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed that that's no longer the case and that we have beautiful. So we'll have a short ceremony, one speaker there, and then we'll wrap up. And so, the donation part, the banquet is Friday, and then Sunday is the worship service, and then Monday is the Freedom March. So we're covering kind of the fundraising on Friday. We're covering the faith on Sunday,
right?
And then Monday we're talking about civil rights, and we're talking about what it represents to people. And there's a lot of different approaches you can take to it. We throw the word freedom out there. We throw these words out there. It's important to remember there are a lot of parts of the world where things comparable to slavery still exists.
Sure.
And so let's appreciate what we have. Let's talk about what people in our country have historically done in one way or another, through military, through bus protests, a variety of ways to both preserve freedom that existed or to fight for additional freedom, to make points that there were entities that weren't getting the freedom that we were talking about.
And I think that democracy is what made MLK's vision a reality. Right,
sure,
the democracy, the Democratic Republic, whatever, the democratic government that we live in is what made this possible for him. And then when you think about anybody that listens is not paying attention at all, read a little bit about South Korea and what their president was trying to do with martial law in a democratic country. And then just remember how fragile democracy can really be.
Absolutely.
And if democracy were to die, then a lot of what these principles are could die with them as well.
No, everybody, and people talk about like Rosa Parks. People talk about but I read an interesting article just a couple days ago about a gentleman who went to a swimming pool. And officially he was allowed to go to the swimming pool, but he got there and everybody said, "Oh, you can't come to a swimming pool. You're the wrong skin color." And I said, "I'm the right skin color. I'm going to swim," because we're all allowed to swim in the swimming pool. Lots and lots of bravery and pushback. It is so easy in life to say, you know what, I don't want to deal with that. But these folks did it not just for themselves, but for their kids and their grandkids and for people they know. And so they took a stand. They did something very brave, knowing that they were going to have to face the brunt of that, but then hoping that in the future it wouldn't be like that anymore.
Yeah. So, like I said, I've been in Carlsbad just over 3 years now, and I've met a lot of individuals, and I don't know what the perception is of Carlsbad outside of Carlsbad necessarily, but I do know that I don't think that they feel like Carlsbad is a very open community, right? Kind of little closed off, kind of little maybe closed off would be the best way to say that. But since I've been here, that is just not the case at all. This town bends over backwards to help anybody that wants to move here and really try to start something.
I can tell you from my own experience, finished college, went up to a town just north of Denton, and I thought my last name was, "You're not from here, are you?"
Yeah, right.
And because that's what I heard over and over again. I moved here. I had a family out in Loving, New Mexico immediately. "Oh, you're new to town. Come out, have dinner with us." Another family, "Hey, come out and hang out with us on the night." So I'm here since. And that was why I'm here since, is because I was welcomed as.
And you've had You've had like multiple career changes since you've been in Carlsbad. Yeah. Any one of those career change opportunities is an opportunity to leave, right? Yeah. But like when you were done working for the newspaper, right? That could be an opportunity to shift and move to a new community. When the mayor retired, right? Janaway retired, and you're no longer with the city because you served at the pleasure of the mayor. That's another opportunity to move somewhere else if you really wanted to, and you didn't because it speaks volumes to how much you appreciate the community. And also, my daughter would have killed me. She had friends. Well, yeah, you could tell my parents that we moved the middle of my junior year.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Right? You know, that was only a couple of days of crying before I grew up.
But again, judge not by the color of your skin, but by the content of your
character. I just believe that. I think everybody believes that, but I 100% Carlsbad totally lives that way.
So, what we will do, the MLK committee then, we'll get essay applications in the spring, in a couple months. And then the foundation has a committee that reviews those and decides who gets the scholarships.
Right. So we've got let's go over our sponsorship list again. Let's call out our sponsors again. So Burn Right Industries is going to be
Burn Right Industries is kind of the event sponsor.
Yeah, the title sponsor. Possible. Sure.
Chevron has traditionally been a huge supporter of what we're doing. CNB Bank, ConocoPhillips, the various departments, Sandia, Los Alamos, Simcoe, of course, has been huge. I'm not going to list everybody. Your college has been a participant in that. In fact, you've already got a table. You're going to be there. The Stevens Inn, Western Commerce Bank, CNB Bank. There's a long.
I want to call it I'm looking at the list while I was doing this. I do want to call it the NAACP Eddy County branch. And the only reason I want to do that is because we recently had the state conference here last year at the NAACP state conference. I interviewed the municipal court judge.
Right.
Remind me of
Judge Johnson.
Thank you very much. And then another person over the phone.
Judge Carlos Johnson.
Yeah, Judge Carlos Johnson. And I was unable to make the event. Unfortunately, it kind of coincided with my wife and I's other business. Sure. But I heard it was a great event. I know they hold it every year somewhere, but I just feel like that's a nice little cherry on top, like just barely hosting the annual state conference and then having a big celebration so close together.
We work closely with them on different things. They're kind of a partner agency on this. Dr. Johnson attends many of our planning meetings, and we work with them on things. So, it's great. Why do I keep saying Dr. Joy James Foster, Judge Johnson?
I thought the judge could have been a doctor. I'm pretty sure she's not technically, but she should be.
She's a judge, and she's a wonderful person.
She really is.
So I'm sorry about your honorary doctorate, but it's probably deserved.
Yeah, I would actually agree with that.
Yeah. So Judge Johnson is the head of the local chapter of the NAACP, but she helps us with our events, just as active in that as well. It was neat. Again, as we talked about earlier, Carlsbad has a remarkable footprint at the national level in the civil rights story. So.
Yeah, and then I did not know that. That was really great history to know that. And before you told me that one story, you said, how much time do I have? Yeah. Which means that we're going to bring you on again to tell us some of these great stories. I would say that there might not be anybody here, and you can tell me otherwise, there might not be a better person here to tell us about all the people that are in the Carlsbad Museum, the Hall of Fame.
So I would like to have Jameson come join me. And
sure.
I think the
He's with the Southeast New Mexico Historical Society.
Well, and he also works for the museum. He's actually Carlsbad's historian now.
Okay. Jameson Lucas, right?
Correct.
Right, great. Yeah, no, definitely. I think that would be a nice segment, something very specific.
No.
And I also like the idea of talking about the struggles of any era, especially the civil rights era, in a community where it's not the first thing that's on top of people's mind because we weren't in the South. You know what I mean? Type situation.
Again, the tie-in with athletics is remarkable. And then tying in, World War II, and that, a good friend, he passed away a year ago, Raul Quintana, came back, family members serving in World War II, they would fight for their country. They would go to a pool hall and be said, you can't come to the pool hall. And they're like, wait a minute, man, I was being shot at just a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
And so, pushing back on that, we're all allowed up here. What's the issue? I don't see what the problem is.
Yeah, and it seems so like just matter of fact for us, or should be, right? For me, it's just matter of fact. But there's still places where it's not. That's why it's important to honor this individual, Martin Luther King Jr., of course, but all the others that have also helped make sure that equality is something that we're all fighting for.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's so many different ways you can define freedom.
Sure.
And define just giving people a chance. Judging by the content of their character.
No, you're a smart guy. How long have you been involved in the committee here?
I've been indirectly involved for probably a decade. I've been more intimately involved for about 5 years.
Okay.
Unfortunately, some of the members have passed away.
Mr.
Scholl was one of them. And several other key members of the organization have passed away. And so when I was working at the city, we had a vested interest. This is an important part of our community. And so under Dale Janaway's guidance, I assisted to kind of be another foot soldier in this effort to keep this going. And so now I'm very happy to be a part of it.
Well, you certainly put together quite a few events since you've been in Carlsbad. Like, you're very intimately involved in the 4th of July celebration, the Energy Summit. I mean, this is almost second nature in a way.
I did not know events planning was going to be a big part of my portfolio when I was in college and whatnot.
So. No, you don't. You don't think that, especially when you join the communications industry, right? Like beyond that, event planning does become something you end up doing, but then you also realize how valuable that skill is.
No, I mean, you think about it as something that the popular sorority girl is going to do, not the nerdy little guy who plays video games on the side.
Yeah, so, well, that's why we get to be behind the scenes.
Yeah, so exactly.
Exactly. All right, so we're talking about the Martin Luther one more time. We are talking about the Martin Luther King Jr.
Put
Scholarship
it upside down.
Committee.
You read a lot better.
Yeah, I did. They're presenting the celebration 2025 in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. Of course, January 20th is the holiday. Everybody's off. So go. You have no excuse not to go out there in the cold for a couple of hours. But we're going to just run this down. Right, we start Friday night. It's going to be at the Carousel House. This is the MLK Banquet. We have David Gibson. He's the keynote speaker. Just a reminder, David Gibson is the Deputy Labs Director and Chief Operating Officer for Sandia National Laboratories. That is not a small title.
Sure.
Go to the carlsbadfoundation.org to be a part of that MLK Banquet. $35 a person on that Friday night, $280 for a table of 8. Go ahead and jump on that website as soon as you can if you're interested. We're going to give you Saturday off. Right, everybody gets Saturday off.
Well, the choir's practicing.
Oh, the choir's practicing. Can we join the choir practice?
If you want to contact, just let me know and I'll get you touched. There's a gentleman named Donnell Hill. He comes in every year. He leads that choir, and he is remarkable.
Oh, so he's an annual guy. He comes every year. He shows up.
I cannot imagine this event without Donnell.
And he brings the choir from Amarillo too?
No. Choir's local. They've all worked with him for years.
Okay,
they all know each other.
Yeah.
And then, the choir, it's a beautiful group of people. And then you also have a reverend who's kind of a guest minister at that Sunday service.
Okay.
He comes in from out of town. Got a hiccup. His name is Reverend Devil Skillis.
Okay. All right. So you can join the rehearsals if you'd like. I mean, it's literally written on the flyer here. First one is Thursday, January 16th at 6 p.m. This is a new Song Fellowship Church where another event is the Sunday services, right? And then Saturday, January 18th at 10 a.m. You can go by and sneak a preview if you can't make the other events.
Yeah,
or you can see the rough draft.
But you can sneak in.
To see the rough draft. I was like, it's on here. You can go, maybe you can go if you want. So we got Friday the 17th at 6 p.m., which is the big event, carlsbadfoundation.org.
Sure.
We had the Sunday worship. That's at the New Song Christian Fellowship at 1105 North Page Street. That starts about 2:30 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay. That's on the 19th. The community choir, you can definitely catch them there. You're encouraged. The offering plate will be around. That'll be a nice thing for you to donate as well. And then on Monday is the big event, right? So 9:30, we're going to start gathering in front of the courthouse?
Yeah, I think even 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And so, we'll walk from the courthouse down to downtown Martin Luther King.
Not a long walk.
No,
and it'll warm you up.
And the drum line will be there. CHS drum line.
Hot chocolate and breakfast burritos. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that's what you said.
Am I bringing the hot chocolate?
Oh, maybe not hot chocolate. You said breakfast or
definitely breakfast.
That's what I was thinking. There'll be something to drink there. So coffee is what they said.
Coffee, I think.
Okay. What am I missing? What is this on this corner of this flyer? It says, "Who will win the 2025 traveling trophy?"
Okay. So that's traditionally between the different schools.
Okay.
They, different elementary schools, a lot of times the principal or one of the teacher will encourage some of her students to come out with their families and participate in this march. And so whatever school has the highest turnout in that. Now, the band kind of has an advantage in terms of the high school.
Right.
And so but I have seen other schools win.
Who won last year?
The band. CHS.
Yeah,
But I know Ocotillo's had a good turnout. We also, at that event, we have a kind of an essay and poster contest, and so some of those winners will be presented and gifted.
Oh, great!
So
yeah, and then all of this is after this is done, you're gonna put out the application for the scholarship essays.
That'll go out, and then there's other events throughout the year. We have some STEM events. We have in August, we have a public airing of Dr. King's speech.
Oh, great!
At the beach area, and so everybody comes and we talk about that. We had kind of a fair, it was kind of a STEM fair, basically, with different groups showed up and all had science fair projects going on and everything like that. So just encouraging academics, encouraging, all kids getting a fair chance and learning when they want to learn.
Where's the best place for me to go to learn about the events that the Martin Luther King Jr. Scholarship Committee has throughout the year?
There's not a good spot location. That's something we need to work on.
Okay.
Because we've kind of defaulted through different other entities. And so getting a good organized process will be what we will tackle after we get through this January events.
Sure. Well, you got a lot going on here. It looks like you're almost set up, but you never know. It always gets tight when it comes to the end of these things.
No, it is. And then there's a lot of other things going on in January for many of us. So it's this one always kind of sneaks up on you a little bit, but we do have a good lot of momentum.
Well, I can't wait to have you back on to talk about what United Way of Eddy County is focusing on for 2025.
Sure.
We'll have you back on for another time. But I really appreciate you, Kyle, for coming on today to talk about Celebration 2025. January 17th, Sunday, January 19th, Monday, January 20th. CarlsbadFoundation.org is a great place to learn about this and to donate. Join the MLK Banquet. Kyle Marksteiner, he's the director of the United Way of Eddy County and a board member on the Martin Luther King Jr. Scholarship Committee. Thank you very much for coming on. Appreciate it, sir.
Take care.
You're listening to Community Forum on KCCC 930 AM, sponsored by Eddy County, honoring God, country, and family, thriving with industry since 1889.